This episode is titled Nothing to Fear. It came out on November 28th, 1992, directed by Boyd Kirkland, written by Henry Gilroy and Sean Catherine Derrick, starring Kevin Conroy as Batman Bruce Wayne, Robert Costanzo as Detective Harvey Bullock,
Costanzo.
Oh my god, every time. We got Bob Hastings as Commissioner Gordon, Clive Revel as Alfred Pennyworth, Marie Devon as Summer Gleason, Kevin McCarthy as Dr. Long, Richard Mole as the Batcomputer, Thomas Wayne and Anthony, Henry Pollock as the Scarecrow, Dr. Jonathan Crane, and the security guard. Would you like some fun facts about this episode, Bud? All right, so we got some honorable mentions for some of the people involved. You've got Boyd Kirkland as director. His first time directing an episode of this series, but he also directed Batman Sub-Zero. He co-directed Mask of the Phantasm, and he also directed 21 episodes of Batman the Animated Series. So this dude has done a lot for this universe. As well as all the Batman stuff, he's done 9 episodes of Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which was one of our favorites.
Always we will fight as one.
Forever fight as one. That's what it was.
The battle's done.
Was that? I thought it was Forever fight as one.
No.
Oh, no.
Is it one or done? But then would you rhyme W-O-N with O-N-E? You could.
You could. 15 episodes of Lobo. This guy directed 15 episodes of a cartoon Lobo, which I don't remember ever.
Even know that existed.
Neither do I. And 3 episodes of Wolverine and the X-Men. And he sadly died in 2011, only at the age of 60.
Oof,
so
rest in peace.
That's a shame because, he obviously did a lot, especially for Batman. Henry Gilroy has written countless episodes for TV, including Star Wars Rebels, Guardians of the Galaxy, the animated series, Avengers Assemble cartoon, Ultimate Spider-Man, the 2012 Ninja Turtles cartoon, Hulk and the Agents of Smash, Star Wars Clone Wars, Justice League Unlimited, The Mask cartoon, Earthworm Jim, Kim Possible, Tasmania, Two Stupid Dogs, which I've totally forgot about. Do you remember Two Stupid Dogs? The cartoon? Two Stupid Dogs! It was just such a random cartoon.
Vaguely.
They made a cartoon out of anything in the 90s.
I remember Cat Dog, but not Two Stupid Dogs.
Two Stupid Dogs, Cat Dog. There was like Angry Beavers. They made a cartoon out of shit.
Angry Beavers, that was great. And an episode of Angry Beavers where one of them started singing like an operatic Viking woman and it was knocking down their...
Oh my god, I've just fucking remembered. I know exactly what you're talking about. That's
Wasn't
weird.
Angry Beavers like loosely based off of like Jim Carrey and what's his name?
Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah. You're exactly right. That's exactly what they based it off of, which is so weird.
Complete conjectures.
Maybe, but they made a Dumb and Dumber cartoon as well. Anything that Jim Carrey did,
they really,
they made a cartoon out of. And then to continue my fun facts, even though Richard Mole was cast as Harvey Dent and Two-Face, producers loved his voice range so much they decided to use him as much as possible. So not only is he the Batcomputer, which we've mentioned before in this podcast, but for this episode specifically, he was Anthony, one of the goons of the Scarecrow, and he also played Thomas Wayne. They've used... Richard Mole pops up a lot. He's Hardak in future episodes.
I am the mole!
Do you know?
Man.
Wow. Okay.
Little music reference.
And he's also Hardak. Do you remember those episodes? The evil computer that makes like robot clones in this series. Do you remember those episodes? You don't, do you? Yeah. Okay. You said yes. When you say yes like that, I'm like, it's a no. You're like, yes. And that's definitely your way of going, no. Henry Pollock, who plays the Scarecrow, sadly passed away in 2013, only at the age of 68. So a lot of people dying fairly young in this series. But his other recognizable roles are Nemo in the show Mighty Max, which was a cartoon I used to love as a kid.
Great toys.
Great toys. He played Alan Dupree in Murder, She Wrote and Mr. Bainbridge in Saved by the Bell. So that was the voice of the Scarecrow. Some fun facts for you continuing on. Scarecrow's original inspiration came from Sleepy Hollow. Didn't know that.
I was going to say, for the first time ever watching this episode, I was actually going to bring it up. I was like, he's an ugly man and his last name is Crane. Like, it's clearly like
Jonathan Crane
influence there.
Yeah, Jonathan Crane, Ichabod Crane. I think I didn't even put that together until today when I saw that, and I was like, of course, Ichabod Crane, Jonathan Crane. But in the comics, he is bullied as a boy and realizes fear is his only weapon in defeating his enemies, so he becomes obsessed with it. Whereas in the show, obviously it's a bit different, which we'll get into later.
It's better in the show. That's pretty one note.
I agree. The character was introduced in 1941 in World's Finest #3. So he's a very old Batman villain. Production-wise, this is the last episode to feature Clive Revel's voice as Alfred Pennyworth before he left due to previous commitments.
Okay, cool. I'm looking forward to regular Alfred.
I don't mind Revel, though. I don't think he's bad.
Fine, and he would have been fine if he stayed around, but whatever his name is, did such a better job.
I think when Revel went as Alfred, that's rubbish. They would be so proud of you because I am proud of you. I was like, that was a really good delivery for Alfred talking to Bruce like that. So apparently Batman's line, I am vengeance, I am the night, I am Batman, became somewhat iconic. When I say apparently, I knew that already. I don't know why I said that. But it was used by Cartoon Network throughout their advertising campaigns. And when they first began airing the series, it was used a lot as promos. And it was later used as the opening line of the Batman musical Out of the Past in Batman Beyond. That was the opening to that play.
That's such a great little bit.
That is.
I would love to watch. I haven't seen Batman Beyond in years.
Well, we're going to watch, I think, a few episodes in this show. Because it has to do with... Your face right now! Oh, you really squeeze your face like sucking on a lemon when you do that guitar.
Well, it's a whiny guitar.
And of course that line has become synonymous with Kevin Conroy because he was the first one to say it, and he performed it at most conventions. So yeah, I love that line, and I love how he took that and ran with it as his definitive Batman line. The guard at the University Bank is reading a comic book for Tiny Toon Adventures. If you notice, this is a
and he laughs at it.
And he laughs at it. This is a hat tip to Bruce Timm and Eric Radomski, who were responsible for that cartoon series before Batman. So that's
and
pretty
now
cool.
Our story's done. Blah.
In the original script, Scarecrow used his fear toxin to extort money from Gotham's elite instead of trying to get revenge on the university. So that's interesting that they changed it. At one point, the Batmobile computer shows a list of nearby chemical companies. Amongst the companies shown are Star Labs, which is a famous lab from Superman comics and Flash comics.
Isn't Star Labs where the Flash works?
I'm not sure.
As a forensic.
It is Star Labs, or at least in the TV show that recently has been on.
I'm pretty sure in the comics as well.
Maybe, I'm not so sure. And did you also see Access Chemicals was on that list, which is the chemical plant that turned Jack Napier into the Joker in Batman 89, which is pretty cool that they put that in there. This was the first episode of this series to feature Batman's origin. Outside of Burton's Batman film, this was the first of its kind to explain how his parents died and the main reason he became Batman. Besides the 89 movie, they'd never done that before, so for a cartoon to explore that is pretty cool. Batman using the fear toxin on Scarecrow is very reminiscent of Nolan's Batman Begins. The same thing happens in that movie, if you remember. He even says, taste of your own medicine, doctor, and in this show he says something like, what's the matter, you don't like your own medicine? So it's very close to being the same line.
What does he say, do you need a light or something like that?
Need a light?
Yeah, when he lights Batman on fire.
Oh, no, this is when Batman's using the fear toxin on Scarecrow. That's when Scarecrow...
I see, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he even turns into the same monster thing.
Yeah, he turns into the same monster thing. No, that is, you need to lighten up. And then he throws
you
them.
need to lighten up.
I thought when you said, Batman, do you need a light? I was like, what's the Scarecrow having a cigarette? And he's like...
It's like Tim Harden. Any of you fuckers got a light?
This episode was adapted into The Adventures of Batman and Robin, which came out for the SNES as the 6th stage, Perchance to Scream. Although Scarecrow appeared in his third mask instead of his first one shown in this episode.
Well, yeah, the design of Scarecrow in this sucks compared to later
designs. Yeah, I mean, do you see at one point in this episode?
Scarier and scarier, the character.
He does. He really does. And I do
enjoy his Undertaker version,
like with the noose hanging and the old Amish big wide brimmed hat. Yeah, I do like that look as well. This one, there's a scene at the end where Jonathan Crane is defeated and he hangs his head And his
And it's like I don't know, like a.
it's a testicle, basically. It looks like a
exactly.
nutsack. I was like, ew,
Yes,
what the fuck?
I knew exactly what you're talking about. The way it's just flopping around like someone shaking their nuts at somebody.
Yeah. The Danny Elfman theme, the original Danny Elfman theme for Batman is used twice in this episode.
It is, yes. And it was
Not
pretty
counting,
cool.
not counting the opening and end credits. And I really dug that when it was like, I was like, oh yeah, I'm in. This is
Yeah,
cool.
me too. I was like, oh, it's Batman.
Yeah. And the theme that plays during the opening title card is later used as the theme for Fear of Victory, which is another episode in this series. Which leads me, what do you think of the music in this episode?
It's all right.
The Scarecrow theme, the dun 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 dun. I kind of like that.
It's all right.
There's a very Psycho reminisce, like ring that comes in a few times, which I thought was pretty Bernard Herrmann and quite like Psycho and horror thriller, which is obviously what they're trying to go through with this episode. But what did you think of this episode, Bub? What was your thoughts on it?
It was okay.
Okay.
And there was parts that I really liked, especially Alfred being like, "I'm proud of you, Bruce."
Yeah,
I really liked that. And I like the ending of Batman conquering his fear, like Batman conquering his fear, conquering the toxin. It's like that's a great thread. And I also love like playing it up first by establishing Bruce's background with the doctor being like, "I went to university with your dad, and he'd be fucking ashamed of you."
Do you think that was way harsh? He just met Bruce.
No, but I love that because it's like that Batman, Bruce committed to, I'm going to turn myself into a babbling fucking idiot so that people will never expect me to be the Batman. So him saying that is kind of just like vindication for that what he's doing is right. Because
he looks so sad though in the elevator after Dr. Long left.
Yeah.
He like sunk his head into his chest. He's like, I'm sad. I'm sad, Batman.
But Scarecrow running around with two thugs was very 66 for me.
It was, and they didn't even have cool names that made sense.
I was going to quiz you because I wrote down their names.
So did I. Don't worry.
Okay, all right.
Their names are Nigel and Anthony.
Nigel and Anthony, yes.
And I'm like, what does that have to do with Scarecrow? I
just thought it was I only picked it up because when he was like, Nigel, guard the door, I was like, Nigel, that's a strange name for like an Italian American guy.
Yeah. Jeez, he's a real professor.
Nigel.
So Anthony,
real professor.
Anthony is Richard Mole, as I said at the in the credits, but I couldn't see who voiced Nigel, and I was like, is it Kevin Conroy? It's really hard to tell. I couldn't really put my finger on who was doing the voice, but I liked them. I didn't think they were awful.
No, they were fine, but the scenario of like the crazy character running around with two thugs just felt very 66, and like especially how it started where they come down on like a little helicopter like ladder. I was just like, oh, this is 66,
very 66. And as we said before, like Bruce Timm said to Kevin Conroy, like, no, forget about 66, we're not doing that. But just like Christmas with the Joker and this, I'm like, this is very 66.
We're in the early Batman the Animated Series.
We are.
Like, they knocked out the park with that fucking first episode, The Man Bat. It's just that's beautiful to see.
It is.
These two past ones have been not that great.
No, they've been okay and they've been fun, but they've not been the
they've
quality.
been better than the worst of other shows, that's for sure.
Yeah. Why does the university have a bank, by the way? Why, like,
for all their donations,
for all of the student loans that they're collecting?
Yes.
Like, they've got a vault full of money, and I'm like,
well, they take money and they don't give it out, though.
Yeah. So I really liked how Bruce's dad appears in the flames originally, in the vault, like just the way he kind of like comes out and he says like, you're a disgrace and everything. And Batman is so confused by seeing his dad because he doesn't know the toxin is causing this problem for him. And the way he says wait when his dad disappears, he's like, wait, because it's the first time he's seen him like in a while. I just thought Kevin Conroy just knocks it out of the park with that type of stuff, man. Every time it comes to his like loss of his parents, and especially knowing what happened to Conroy's dad in real life, like I'm sure he brought a lot of that to the role. It just it really weighs in a great way. So yeah, I thought that was really good. I did laugh when the policeman showed up and they asked Batman like, Batman, what happened? And he's like, Scarecrow. And the policeman just goes, Scarecrow? What do you mean? Just like, and it's like, all right, dude, I've just
Yeah,
like...
but fair enough. Like, if someone just went to Scarecrow, I'd be like, what do you mean, Scarecrow?
And like, I thought Bullock was going to shoot Batman at one point. He was just like, all right, I have to take this evidence from you. And he goes for his gun.
He's always on the
like,
precipice of shooting Batman.
seriously.
I bet my badge on it.
So what did you think of Scarecrow's backstory in this show?
Fine.
Yeah, it's,
you know,
as a boy, I used to love fear, and then I became a professor, and it's like, you're a little psycho. Like, how did you become a professor and be able to study fear? Like, he just had countless rooms full of patients, like, facing their great, like, room full of
just, like,
spiders.
Look through a window and be like, ha 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 ha. And then just walk through another window. I was like, no wonder you were fired, mate. That's fucked up what you were doing.
I think it would have been way cooler if he worked at Arkham Asylum and he was doing that to patients. That would have been a much better way to get away with torturing people like that, because they're psychos and no one really cares. So yeah, I thought it was all right. It made sense. They had to make it make sense for the university. But I felt like they kind of shot themselves in the foot with that university plot. Like,
I agree.
Just come up with something better. Scarecrow's hideout, though.
I feel like, why seek revenge? Why not just use the money to continue funding your research, just like every other villain does?
He's got his own chemical
That's
company.
like the shtick of villains in Spider-Man and Batman. Like, I'm robbing a bank because I need to fund my scientific research.
Yeah, exactly. I did like his hideout, though, on the farm. I thought that looked really cool, the way it was placed. And there was like these giant tankers, which I thought looked really creepy at night. I love Bruce exhausted in the Batcave analyzing evidence and like slowly losing it with the fear toxin. But it was weird how there was a TV with Kevin Conroy's voice clearly being like, oh man, what's the line? It was like some advertisement like, you'll never believe how good you look, or something like that.
You'll feel like $1 million.
Yes, that's right. I was wondering if that was like an ode to some commercial that we don't remember from back in the 80s or something. Alfred has another good line where he's like, imagine that, someone going around dressing up and scaring people. I thought that was cool. And I think I heard Mark Hamill at some point as just like a random bystander with like, hey, what's that? It just sounded very Hamill.
Right.
But there was a load of people that I think they just reused in this episode.
The crowd scene when they all get fear toxin and turn on Batman. Yeah, you need a bunch of voices.
Yeah, and you also got Kevin Conroy at the beginning of this episode being like, it's a tragedy what's happened to the university.
Yes, yeah.
That was so Kim.
I was like, is it Bruce?
Yeah.
It's not Bruce, I swear. It's somebody else.
The one thing I really liked was Scarecrow using the guests to attack Batman. I thought that was very clever.
That was cool, yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, it's a giant bat! And freaking out.
Instant army. It's always good.
I thought that was really good. We got our first look at the grapple gun in this. We've seen it used, but we haven't seen it close up. So we see a proper close-up look of it, but it's different, though. It's got like a spear tip or like a harpoon at the end of it instead of the normal claw that we see.
Some of the best Foley work, I think, is that grappling hook.
Yeah, I know. If I heard that, I know instantly what it was. You know, like
I wonder what they used
to make that burst as well. What did they use to make that? Like, yeah, that burst is also like a big part of that noise. I don't know. It's really cool.
Can make that noise
like a big piece of like plywood that they're like shaking. Maybe,
but it's like the Star Wars laser noises. They were like smacking sticks against big like telephone wires. So they go, pew!
Oh, that makes sense.
Wire and stuff like that.
So, I think Batman fighting on a blimp above Gotham City is actually a really cool set piece.
It is great, yeah.
I thought that looked really cool. Batman is really fucking lucky, dude, that those goons landed on like an awning and a tree.
Oh, I'm jumping out of a window onto a tree.
Yeah, like he tried to save one of them. I think it was Anthony, and Anthony landed on the awning, and then he didn't even bother to save Nigel. Nigel just freaked out. He's like, the prison walls are closing in on me, and he just jumps out the fucking window. And usually in this show, when someone's near death, Batman, like, they do a close-up on his face, and he's like, because someone's about to die, and they don't. In this, doesn't care. He's like,
Nigel, no.
Anthony, no. And as I said, he spouts the famous line, I am vengeance, I am the night. I Am Batman. But what I really never have given this enough credit for, because I always focus on that line, is the animation of Thomas Wayne turning from like a normal giant dude into a red-eyed skeleton. Like, I think that's pretty fucking haunting for a cartoon to do that. There's quite a few haunting scenes in this where I was like,
Fear episode.
Yeah, I know, but just for a cartoon to go that dark, I thought was really good. I thought Scarecrow's escape vehicle was pretty fucking cool.
I thought that was super Batman 66 and kind of lame. That
The glider? I like the glider.
I will escape with this built-in glider. Like, oh, so you're a professor and an engineer that you were able to build that and put it in there? And also, why is it like a Leonardo da Vinci like first flight?
It was that, wasn't it? Yeah, it really was that. I thought it would have made a good toy, but clearly not, because they never made it.
That toy.
So towards the end, Batman exposes Scarecrow to the gas and comes out of the shadows and frightens him so much that he surrenders immediately. I love when Scarecrow goes, "No!" and Batman goes, "Oh, yes." It was like really like kind of like pornographic, where he's like,
It was,
"Oh, yes."
Oh, yeah.
Starts fucking him.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna look at something else that's pretty scary as well. So Scarecrow, we cut to Police Commissioner Gordon's office, and Scarecrow is found left hanging from the ceiling fan, and Bullock being like, "I'll bet my badge on it," and then I like all of that, and I was like, "You're gonna take his badge then, or are you just gonna let him slide on that one?" And then we end with probably one of my favorite orchestrated pieces of music in this whole show. Is just Bruce at the grave of his parents and like laying down the roses, and it's just like the Batman theme, but it's almost like cascading, and it's got these bells that are tolling, and I really love that piece.
I love the way Bruce looks in that scene as well, with the glasses and the black.
Trench coat,
trench coat, and I like the animation of his hair blowing in the wind. It feels very that whole thing felt very Tom McFarlane, to be honest.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, and also this whole episode has been very 66, but that is like true animated series right there, where it's like, oh, this is serious stuff, and they're taking it seriously. I thought the episode had its merits, not one that I would call great. It wasn't bad by any means, but there's so many other better Scarecrow episodes to come that I'm like, this doesn't feel like the Scarecrow that I know from this show. So I'm looking forward to those other ones. I wonder what episode we're going to come across and we're going to go, now we're in Batman the Animated Series territory, as we watch.
Like I said, the first one is very Batman the Animated Series.
That's true, it is. Yeah, you're right.